Okay. Yeah, this is my second time getting to do one of these, and it's once again an absolute pleasure. It's sad to think of people passing on and their work not being read publicly like this anymore. So, and any time I have the opportunity, I'll jump at it. Today I'm going to talk about Artie Gold. I intend to read from 5 of his poems. I'll break that up by talking a little bit about who he was, but I'll open with a short one. Most of these are untitled, so no introductions. I have been thinking a great deal about my bike that will be stolen. I don't like things whose inevitability works against me. Why have you driven through my heart? Make that what? Artie Gold died on Valentine's Day in 2007. I never met him, and I don't think that I read a single poem of his before his death, and I regret both of these facts greatly. His poems, to my ear, are among the most surprising, upsetting, and beautiful that we're lucky enough to have available to us. He lived and wrote in Montreal. Today he seems to be very clearly a Montreal poet, but at the time of his first book, City Flowers, which was published in 1974 by Louis Dudek's Delta Canada, his reading and influences was drawing on the likes of Jack Spicer and Frank O'Hara, these poets that at the time were very much outside of the dominant Montreal traditions. This is called Allison. I am alerting you to the fact that the clouds above your house are doing a dance this minute. And if I wait, well, but I have already waited. A human faculty, thinking, what if the clouds by the time you have woken have flown, disarranged themselves, gone to Europe? I juggled this thought unconscious of the lapse of time, while the clouds stayed and stayed. Now the clouds can't say, come on Artie, wake her up, we are here only briefly. Or Artie, the day is glorious, take your time, ponder this human condition you talk of, we are here at your beck. We are like the photo of beautiful day drawn from the textbook of surrealism. Surrealism, the everyday that never happens. And the clouds are gone, a personal experience which for you never was. So I leave a note on your doorstep. Allison, wake up. The clouds can be beautiful. He published 6 books in the 1970s, and they had some great titles. He published with Talon, Even Your Photograph Looks Afraid of Me. And then a bit later, some of the cat poems, which is exactly what it sounds like, these poems about his cats that included these bizarre, wonderful drawings that he did of his own cats. He's associated with the Véhicule poets, a loose group of writers centered in and around the Véhicule Art Gallery and the press that went along with it. This is a bit later. It's called RW11. These are the trappings of my world. These are what I do. Gathered, a print or two, a vase, 1,000 urgent books, stacks of magazines forgotten. The hallway stretching between enthusiasms like a referee. Unwestern, what I am, but also a little Western, wanting to be what I am not. The things speak for me, obviously, not for themselves. Flung haphazardly in the space of neat living I carve out, like the innards of some festive turkey, that my life, carved, eaten, transferred to the belly. It is the gut I live in, just as light dwells in the crystal of its chandelier, more than in the room. The stuff of these poems finds a space, I feel, between the mundane and the commonplace, the wonderful and the awful, the texts of his favorite poets, his city, and his increasingly failing body due to a lung deficiency. It was asthma, allergies, and emphysema all compounding. His are poems of dialogue with the material of his immediate and imaginative worlds. George Bowering writes, life handed Artie a lot of miserable obstacles from the beginning. Some old family sadness he would never hear all of, bad lungs that could not abide the cats he liked so much, hunger for company he had to avoid more and more. This one has no title. I have no astrologer and don't believe in falling in love on any particular August day you could name. I have knapsacks full of knickknacks that spread beneath a tree would suffocate a hermit, and a perpetual cough that when I've had enough of, I'll die from. I came to this city naked and from a small town and have rearranged some of its objects. I will hitchhike out of here one day with my hair in my eyes and a good breeze blowing and cause a little confusion, I am sure, though no more than a hair discovered in a gravy. This book was published in the fall. It's the Collected Books of Artie Gold. Talon put it out. It gathers up largely 1970s material. Much like our own Ottawa's William Hawkins, there are these great silent gaps in his publishing life. Following the 70s, he goes quiet. There's some small new poems in selected books published in the 90s. And then there's rumors of new work. There are rumors of a lost Coach House manuscript, rumors of 700 pages of lost work being passed around between friends, and of many hundreds of more poems on loose pages throughout his apartment. Bowering even acknowledges the rumor that this book might one day see a sibling publication of these miscellaneous poems. We can only hope. Regardless, though, we have 300 pages available here of staggering work that I feel among which we can find more than any single poet's share of lines and poems that will endure, so long as we have poets interested in traditions that have been unfairly consigned to the margins. When I was getting ready to do this, I selected this final poem as the final poem last week. It seemed appropriate that I was talking about a dead poet. It seemed to really fit the tone. And then on Sunday, as we all know, John Lavery passed on. Learning of his death on Sunday afternoon invested these specific lines for me with a much greater urgency. So I'm going to read them now, thinking of Artie, of John, and then of all of us who bear, I think, the responsibility, but also the privilege of reading and rereading this work privately and publicly. So before I finish, just thanks again for having me do this. These are the final 8 lines of a much longer poem. His death is a great shock that I cannot express. I wonder why he died like that. Now his living seems so perfect. Get up and do it again. Thank you very much.